Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to our session about broadcast for synchronous deployment and interactivity. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. My name is Taylor Ripley. I'm a customer success manager at WeVideo. I'm super excited to bring an education background and instructional design background to the table today as we go through our training. I'm super excited to show you more about broadcast and how you can use it in your classrooms. Our agenda today is what is interactivity and what an interactive video is. We're going to talk about the asynchronous and synchronous deployment options. We are going to focus in on that broadcast experience and looking at benefits and use cases. We'll talk about how to set up and deploy a broadcast assignment. And then at the end, we will talk about some frequently asked questions and save time for any questions as well. Interactivity is an instructional design studio that allows teachers to select videos from Vimeo, YouTube, and even your own WeVideo creations. Once you've selected your video, you're able to add an interaction and engagement, overlaying that on the video screen to increase student engagement and check for learner understanding. You can make interactive video creations as complex or as simple as you want, but once you've created it, you'll be able to edit, adapt, and then reuse your content over and over. There are multiple ways you can deploy an interactive video in the interactivity space. The first way is as a self-paced asynchronous learning object. This is currently our most popular use case and is usually where people kind of get started. However, you can combine multiple interactive videos together and add supplementary resources to create a learning module called a playlist. You can also assign learner-made interactive video assignments for individual submission. And when synchronous instruction is needed, you can use our broadcast feature, which allows you to deploy any asynchronous video you've created live time at your own pace. This is the feature that we're going to dive deep into today. First, let's talk about the traditional asynchronous flow. After selecting or creating your video content, you'll enter into our instructional design studio. You'll see the ability to add 6 different question types, 4 that are auto-graded, which is our multiple choice, check all, fill in the blank, and poll interactions. 2 are manually graded, meaning that as the instructor, you will go back into interactivity and grade those submissions. But you can also opt to have those be auto-graded if you would like. And under the question types, you'll see 3 annotations, which are non-graded engagements. You'll have our pause, web embed, and PDF file. You can add engagement by adding individual interactions, applying a pre-made template, or even using our newest AI Assist feature with your WeVideo creations. After adding in your engagement, you can assign to learners. We're going to walk through the differences in assigning a broadcast assignment later on in the training today. So to start out, we're going to talk about why interactivity. Looking at some important metrics, 66% of learners found videos more engaging than other learning materials. 32% of learners found videos more memorable than other learning materials, and learners spent 44% more time watching a video that was interactive than a standard static video. Videos resulted in a 14.4% improvement in knowledge and retention, and a 20% increase in the video completion and average viewing time. Overall, studies found that videos that are interactive are an effective way to engage learners, improve their understanding, and increase retention of information. So why use interactivity for interactive video? Before we dive in deeply into what it looks like in the designer, in terms of accountability, the default is that fast forwarding or skipping is disabled in an asynchronous interactive learning video. This ensures that the learner is watching the full video. Today, we'll look at how you can adjust different settings within that interactive video as well. And another great accountability feature is the video automatically pauses if a learner switches windows or tabs. This helps us to ensure they're staying present. And even with that broadcast feature that we're going to dive into today, you'll see how you can make sure students are held extremely accountable. We also take accessibility very seriously. In your interactive video, you're able to include interactive transcripts, and you'll be able to see that the interactive transcript is searchable, where a learner can then go in and try to locate key information. And we can also have the option to include captions, and the tool is screen reader compatible. Finally, to help with content digestion, we have an embedded notepad, which allows learners to export their notes and put timestamps on them. This is automatically included in any interactive video made in Interactivity. At the end, they can download those notes to use for future reference. And the notepad can also be monitored by you as the teacher, providing additional levels of accountability. You can take your interactive video creation and decide if you want to make it a self-paced, asynchronous, or deploy it live time using broadcast. It's so great that you can use the same content in two different ways. And now when you broadcast an interactive video, it will give you the choice to assign this to absent learners afterwards as well asynchronously. All right, now we're going to dive into broadcast. To start out, I'm going to show you an intro video to kind of give you an idea of what the broadcast feature could look like. Broadcast lets you transform any asynchronous bulb creation into a live interactive experience, all at your own pace. Select the bulb you want to use and choose Broadcast from the drop-down menu. Students can easily join with a link or QR code. Once you start the broadcast, the video appears on your screen, while learners see the questions on their devices. During the live session, you control the pace, revealing questions one by one. You can choose to display their answers, names, and even see real-time analytics. This lets you foster live discussions and gauge understanding. All interaction types work throughout the broadcast, including rich discussions. You still receive all of the data on the monitor page. So ditch the static lessons and make your teaching dynamic with broadcast. All right, this is a short introduction on what we're going to dive deep into today. So thinking about how broadcast can be used at your institution, broadcast allows you to bring flexibility into a synchronous approach, and it can be utilized for large in-person lectures, small classroom discussion groups, station rotation models, and even via remote conferencing with students. The broadcast application is a great way to utilize interactivity because of the in-the-moment benefits you will receive from the application. Broadcast allows you to facilitate learning in real time instead of releasing students on their own for assignments. From that, you can check student formative assessments when it's happening. Because it is a flexible medium, your TAs or even substitutes can also ensure live instruction takes place with a lesson. Finally, the broadcast is a great way to ensure accountability when assigning any third-party video. You can ask for formative questions and it will know who in your class has watched the video and who's also paying attention. You'll see in the upcoming demo that you'll be able to see live analytics throughout the broadcast assignment. You can opt to show responses or show analytics. You also have the ability to display or hide learner names. This feature is extremely useful in generating and facilitating live discussion, as well as knowing in live time how well your students are absorbing the information throughout the lesson. All right, so now we are going to do a live demo where I am going to act as the teacher and you all will act as my students. So there's two different ways that you'll be able to access this assignment. The first is going to be from the link that I drop in the chat, or you can copy the QR code shown on the screen here and it will prompt you to put your first and last name in, and then you will be added into the broadcast assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. You'll want to copy and paste this. And if you need to, you can always put this into a incognito window that will ensure that you're not logged into any subsequent accounts or anything like that. So as people get into the assignment, you'll see that the learners are listed here. And you can check the progress of how many of your students have entered into that broadcast lesson. So just a reminder, you can either access it through the link in the chat, or you can use the QR code and scan that to get logged into this broadcast lesson. I'll give everyone about 30 more seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. As the student, you will not see the video on your screen. You're only going to see it on the instructor's screen. So as I am sharing my screen, that's where you're going to watch the video content. The questions are going to come to the device that you're logged into and have added for that broadcast. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Media used to be straightforward. People produced things like magazines, newspapers, radio, and television, then distributed it to the masses. You were the last link in the chain. Today we have the internet. Not a chain, but a network of digital connections, with no beginning and no end. But there's one thing about media that hasn't changed over the years. Media are constructions. Media are created largely for social, political, or commercial purposes, to sell products or services, values or ideals to you, your family, and your friends. Our digital
All right. And so, as the instructor sends out the questions, you should receive them on your device. If you are the instructor and you're deploying a broadcast, you can always select this pin and it will remove the question from the students. So, if you want to give them a certain amount of time to work on that, they can. And as answer options come in, you'll be able to show the responses and show the analytics from the answer options. And then once you, if you opt to show responses here, you can also toggle on to show names or not show names, and you'll be able to facilitate discussion that way as well. So it looks like everyone who's answered so far has gotten it correct. Awesome job. And then if I wanted to remove it, I can unpin that here. And so then you should no longer see it on your screen.
Digitally connected world is constantly transforming the way we play, learn, and interact with each other. Digital media are getting more sophisticated and harder to navigate. To survive and thrive in a networked digital age, you need to know and understand.
Digital media are getting more sophisticated and harder to. Awesome job, CJ. First one to respond.
And how to access digital media, analyze it, evaluate it, and produce it. Be aware.
Which of the following statements about digital media from the video are true? Awesome. It looks like you guys are on the right track.
And be smart. Digital media smart. Think of the different digital media you use. Identify who made them, how they work, and how they make money for their creators.
What is one of the main purposes that media are often created for according to the video? One other great interaction type that you can add in here is a discussion. As we answer in here, you'll see that the instructor is able to then respond to students in that discussion as well as they asynchronously are collaborating within that discussion forum. And then at the end of the broadcast assignment on the instructor's screen, it's going to show this pop-up where it'll tell you that the broadcast is over and that you can actually assign this out to any absent students in your class who did not take that broadcast assignment. So this then gives an opportunity for students who weren't there or who didn't get to take that assignment to then contribute and make sure that they get that information as well. So, another way that I often like to use broadcast is with a question only engagement. This feature is used by using a blank video to provide that question only experience. I love to use this to collect data quickly and easily from my students. For instance, when I was a teacher, I would use whiteboards with my students and have them hold their answer up to each question. But at the end of the lesson, I had no record of how many practice problems students got correct or incorrect, or if there was a trend on a certain question. So I started preloading my questions into a broadcast interactive video. I could embed articles as we read in class, send out checks for understanding throughout my lecture, and then load those practice problems to see live time how many students were struggling. Afterwards, I could go back in and look at the monitor page to gauge any misconceptions further. So there are ways to use this beyond just with video content. Let's talk about how we set up and deploy a broadcast assignment. I'm going to drop a copy of the slides in the chat so that you all have access to them as we go through this. There's some resources in here that will be helpful. So for this workflow, you're going to go through for the learner experience as we just did, but the overall workflow that you're going to use to create the broadcast assignment is you'll select the interactive video you would like to broadcast. You'll add learners by sending out the link or let them scan your QR code. You'll determine the start time and use the monitor page to analyze data from your lesson afterwards. Here are the steps to setting up that assignment. So you'll select broadcast from the drop-down menu. You'll select the class you would like to broadcast to, and then you'll receive the link and QR code to add to learners. I'm going to show you how to do this live time, and you can use this as a guide for you when you go back to do this on your own. This tutorial here is going to show you each step with a GIF attached to it. So if you forget, this is always a resource that you can use. But when I go into my WeVideo account, I'm going to see that I have all of my interactive videos that I've previously created. If you don't yet have an interactive video, that's okay. You can add in an interactive video quickly by selecting Create New Interactive Video. And you can even pull a WeVideo video that you've already created. Once you've selected the interactive video that you would like to use, you'll see that that video segment is brought in here. Because I selected an interactive video that I made in WeVideo, I'm able to use AI generated interactions to quickly create interactions for this video. I can select the entire video or do a specific timestamp. Can also utilize the complexity related to Bloom's taxonomy to create these questions for me and decide what types of interactions I would like in my interactive video. Then I'll press generate. And it just takes a second to process. And once it creates those AI generated interactions, I can leave them how they are. I could also go back and edit them further if I'd like to, but this is just an easy way to quickly make an interactive video if you don't have one yet to broadcast out. And then once I've created that, I can press my review tab and I can press preview or I can save and exit. Once I save and exit, I'll then be ready to assign. I want to make sure that I at least have a class with students in it to assign to. If you don't yet have a class with students in it, you're going to want to navigate to the multimedia creation space and go to your classes tab here. Once you've created a class, you can use this button in the right-hand top corner to add a new class, and you can use that create class. You'll be able to input your name of the class, some additional details if you'd like, and a thumbnail. Once you have that class created, you're going to select into that class, and you're going to select this People tab here. Under People is where you can invite people into your class by sharing an invite link or code. So when you go to share this broadcast assignment with students, you're going to want to make sure that they're in your class first. Today, we went through the anonymous assign flow, but when working with students, they're going to have a WeVideo account. So you're going to either give them this code to join your class or copy an invite link to send over to them so they can make an account and be in your class. After you have students in your class, you'll want to go back to this interactivity tab. And you can either utilize the interactive video you created with AI today or a different interactive video. And I'm going to select this bulb thumbnail here. And in that dropdown, I'm going to select broadcast. Once I do that, I'll see the interactive video selected here, and I'll see my preferences up here. So if I'm going to be broadcasting this out to students, I'll make sure to leave this here. I can also broadcast for professional learning if I'm going to be broadcasting out to a group of teachers. So I'll keep that as students, and then I will select the class I'd like to broadcast to. And then I'll be able to click this broadcast button here, and it's going to take me to the screen that you guys saw previously with that QR code. It's going to give me that link to access, and then I can add in my learners as I go there. You want to make sure that if you're broadcasting with students, that they are already added into your class. After completing the broadcast assignment, you'll be able to monitor that data from the students. So I'm going to show you with the one we did today, and I can select monitor. You'll see the class or classes that you've assigned it to, and you can monitor that data by looking here. You'll be able to see the learner's name, their score, their status on if it was completed, in progress, or not started. And you can also filter up here by completion status. You'll then be able to see a breakdown of each question. So if they got the correct answer or if it needs further grading. And you can also look at their free response as well or discussion. You can use this cloud in the top right-hand corner to do a CSV data export of that data from that particular interactive video. And you can also select the gray box at the top to look at the interaction data. This is going to show you a graph breakdown of the answers that were given throughout that particular question. You can also select the learner's name to view just that learner-specific attempt. You can also select the learner's name and export their attempt. This is going to give you access to an exportable worksheet with the questions, answers, any feedback that you put in there or any resources that were embedded, or if the student took any notes, those will show here as well. And then you can always come in and reset the learner attempt if you would like them to do it again asynchronously, or if you would like to rebroadcast this. So here is an example of a full monitor page as well. And then an example of when you select that gray box from the top, what will be shown there as all of that data is combined into a graph. You'll also be able to see when you can click on a specific attempt from a student, how long they were engaged with the question, and then their actual score that they received. All right. Now that we've gone over how to set up and deploy a broadcast assignment, we are going to talk about some frequently asked questions. All interaction types will work seamlessly when using broadcasts, even those discussions like you saw today. You will want to make sure that all of your interactions are placed on the sidebar and remove any jumps that you may have in a branching assignment. The jumps are not going to work during a broadcast assignment as the teacher is the one who's going to be controlling the pace. A few resources that we do have for you. We have an article about how to broadcast to your students, and I'll drop that in the chat, but it's also linked in the slides that were provided for you. So this will be a really good resource that will walk you through the steps again. And then some general interactivity resources. We have a Wakelet board with all of our interactivity resources embedded in here, including our Interactivity Academy, webinars, any infographics and professional learning that we have associated with interactivity. We have recently released our WeVideo Certified Interactivity course. This isn't going to go through broadcast, but if you're just getting started with interactivity, this is a great place to start. You also will earn a badge and a certificate of completion once you have completed and been approved for that interactivity course. This is going to show you how to make interactive videos asynchronously and even combine them into a playlist. All right. I know that was a lot of information, but I wanted to open the floor. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. All righty. Well, if there are no questions for today, thank you all for joining us for our broadcast webinar. If you have any questions about interactivity, feel free to reach out to a member of our team, and we will get with you and help you deploy this with you and your students at your institution. Thanks so much.